In 2025, we need to know what you have got in your golf bag. And this mid-handicap golfer has had a new driver, he's had new irons, a couple of items he's not had new in recent years, but what is in your bag and what is in his bag this year? So guys, we are talking about mid-handicap Dave, and we are talking about what clubs he has in his bag going into the season and what might be getting changed before that season starts. Dave, you like to spend some money?
I always like, well, I won't say I like to spend some money, but I really like new stuff.
Yeah, you really like new stuff, and obviously we're going to talk through what is currently in your bag, and we're going to start, not with everybody's favourite, we're going to start bottom end of your bag. So sand wedge, gap wedge and pitching wedge, you have the Tacoma Sky Forger wedges.
Yeah, not putter then, that's not bottom.
Well, that is right at the bottom. We'll get to that maybe last, actually. We might mix it up.
So, I carry 3 wedges.
Yep.
I don't carry a 60.
No.
But I carry a Sky Forger 56.
A 52.
A 52, and I've got a Tacoma 101T, if I can find it.
Pitching wedge.
Pitching wedge, it was right under my hand.
You'd have thought these head covers make it easier, everybody.
Well, they do, but I was rushing.
Yeah, so you've got 3 wedges. Obviously, that is part of your set, and then we go straight from that pitching wedge to your 52. So, again, those, we'll hit a couple of chip shots now with your 56. Reason why you haven't got a 60 in there is because?
Because with these Sky Forger wedges, if I wanted any more loft, I can open it up. And it doesn't seem, it seems a waste of a club to carry it around, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times I used to use it, if I was lucky, I'd use it once around.
Yeah, and you feel confident with this to do different shots. So again, we'll just hit a little chip shot here, but Dave has given away what irons he has in the bag. So obviously we do have the Tacoma 101Ts in there. They have been in there for a good couple of years now, and we have had, obviously, custom fit, badass pured shafts put in there. So we did get those retrofitted at SGGT, so we'll talk about that setup shortly. And you see there just a nice chipping action from Dave.
And what I learnt with you was that, you know, if you practice with your wedges, which I actually quite like doing, you can work out a grid, and it's like having sort of 9 clubs in your bag rather than 3.
Yeah, so knowing 3 different distances with each club. You see there we've got a shot that lands at 31 and goes out to 39. We know if Dave opened the face, we could get a higher shot for a similar distance. You see there, a higher shot, landing at 33 and stopping a little bit quicker. So he's got to go over that bunker, then that's his shot. So we're going to talk irons now, Dave, because obviously irons we've just talked through, but your longest iron in the bag is the 6 iron, which is going to be a talking point this year.
Yeah, it's a 6 iron. I don't struggle with it. If it's off a small tee, I don't have an issue with it. If it's off the fairway, then I would say probably 3 times out of 5 it goes the same distance as a 7 iron. Yeah,
and that's where we've got to decide this year in Dave's what's in the bag of what are we going to put in there? Are we going to change that? What could we potentially put in? And that's something we'll discuss in coming months before March and April, when the competitions really get going, start. Obviously, what clubs do you have in your bag, and do you change? Do you have a split set?
See, that's the 2 out of the 5. But even then, that's done 140 yards in total. My 7 iron does that.
Yeah, and this is it. We don't want to have clubs in your bag that are wasting space. We want to get Dave down to those single figures. We know he's got it in the locker, but he has to have the right bag for that, Dave.
But if I was on a par 3 and I wanted something that would go 155, if I stuck a little green tee down, I'd have more confidence with it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you can't do that in the middle
No,
of the
and you
fairway.
have to have that perfect 155-yard shot. So obviously, Dave's going to hit one more, and then we're going to go into these clubs right here. So his 11 hybrids, we can see we have a 5 and a 6. And that's where we start to change. So Dave has his cut off after his 6 iron.
You see, I thought I hit that well. And
it's very similar to that 7 iron. So we then change obviously into these hybrids. So if I take the head cover off there, we can see well worn in the 5 iron, but we're going to go straight to that 6 hybrid. So again, premium shafts in these, 11 hybrids. You can get a full set of hybrids here to make your game a little bit easier. Again, Dave decided to change this part of his bag, hopefully, for shots that he's going to prove now. And he has on call, in balance. And that's the shot that Dave knows he can get out of that. A nice 150-yard shot, which we do need out on the golf course a lot.
Well, that's 150-ish carry, but going 165, well, 167 in that case.
Yeah, and we'll hit one more, Dave, because this is where Dave's found consistency, but obviously there is a big gap there in between that elusive 6 iron and that 6 hybrid that we need to resolve this year. So this is the time to do it, guys. A lot of new clubs coming out. Plenty being tested on the channel here. And again, a slight miss hit there.
Yeah,
but the miss hit has gone much further than a miss hit certainly would with that, and even a good strike, it's gone further. So after that, Dave, after your hybrids, you have your 5 and a 4, but we have a new addition to the bag.
Yes.
So new addition for 2025, we do have a Zexio 13 club. So again, this is an 18-degree hybrid, lightweight shaft in here, if it will focus. 45 grams, so much lighter, 35 grams lighter than your other hybrids, which is something, again, we will discuss later in this golf bag. But this has been an absolute machine for you, Dave.
Yeah, and this is why this is up for debate with the next club that's in the bag.
Yeah.
Which one do I choose for this coming season?
Yeah. And this is where top and bottom end of the bag are talking points, and even in the middle. So even though Dave's got relatively new clubs, new shafts, if we can get this bag perfect, we hopefully can lower those scores. But you'll have seen a few fantastic shots with this course, with this shot even out on the course at Lindrick. But right there, just under 190. So again, not a perfect strike there.
No, it wasn't.
Still plenty of forgiveness.
That was a bit toppy, but it stayed relatively low because of that.
Yeah.
But carry's still 164, still running out into the 180s.
Perfect. Let's go one more then, Dave.
Excuse me.
Then we'll talk about the club that this is potentially replacing. And that's what we've seen with it. Direction, extremely consistent, and distance.
That distance is why it might be being changed for the next club in the bag.
Yeah, so this club right here, and this has been, again, a club that Dave's had in the bag a long time with his irons. He went pretty much full Tacoma, and he really enjoyed this. And this was a go-to club, but he's found, obviously, with the hybrid, a little bit of a shorter shaft, strike pattern went up, and it was a little bit more versatile for you, Dave, wasn't it?
Yeah. I seem to have much more confidence with that Zexio hybrid.
Yeah, so front to back dispersion was better. Again, side to side was better. Let's see what Dave does now with this club that potentially might be removed. And again, a good launch, a little bit out to the right.
Yeah, and I've kind of got a two-way miss with it.
Yeah, and we see there, not a centred strike, not as far and not as consistent with obviously face control as it was with the hybrid, that shorter shaft.
And it's amazing, isn't it, how, a couple of years ago, this was the best club in my bag, it was my go-to club.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you start to lose a bit of confidence with it.
Yeah, and more testing. We've tested more clubs and we've found, obviously, different clubs that work for you. And this is where, obviously, fittings are massive, guys. And if you want to test all stuff out, then we can do that here at Waterfront. There's places like SGGT. You have to get all of these sorted out because something that's not right could stop you from lowering your scores. And you see there, Dave, that was a good strike.
Good strike, but I still wasn't terribly confident over it. But there's very little difference between that And that Zexio hybrid.
Yeah, and if anything, the Zexio went a little bit higher, a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
So obviously that is a club we need to talk about before the season starts. But then we talk about this club. So a nemesis for Dave for many years, but again, we have an upgraded shaft in there, Dave. So we have a TPT shaft that was fitted again at SGGT, which gained you nearly 60 yards, well 80 yards on your miss hits, which is the main thing. We're all going to miss hit shots, but we wanted your miss hits to be better and more consistent. And again, we've seen plenty of drives after the change of shaft there. Again, Dave's average from last year was 196 yards out on the golf course, but obviously changing it, working this winter.
You see, I know that was slightly right, but that's on a wide fairway. That's on the fairway, or it's just in the semi-rough.
That's a typical mid-handicap saying that's a bit right, but yes, that's a fantastic shot, Dave. 215 carry, 236. If you can do that on the golf course, we should be getting into those single figures relatively easy. Famous last words. And guys, we are going to be getting out and playing competitions with Dave this year. Again,
you see that
extremely consistent.
Front to back.
Look at those two right
those two
there. Extremely consistent. But we're going to be playing in the Average Golfers tournament in June. That is what we're building up to. We need this bag ready. Dave's going to get out on the golf course. We're going to have a full practice round, 18 holes.
Are you carrying for me, Chris?
We might have a trolley, Dave.
Okay.
And we're gonna have your trolley, and we're gonna get out there and see what Dave can score in competitions with that bag. But guys, if you want to enter those competitions, I'll put a link in the description to Andy's website where you can get entering those fantastic competitions and maybe meet the man, the myth, the average golfer, or mid-handicap Dave. And folks, that is why it is essential to get your driver fitted, isn't it, Dave?
It is, that's very true, Chris, and it also helps if you actually take notice of what your coach tells you and stand up a little bit and try not to fall over.
He does that every so often.